Good morning and welcome back to Everdeen on a morning that is so sunny that I'm having issues trying to figure out where to film myself because this room is just full of sunlight coming in the window. It's amazing. I cannot believe it is November and this is what we're getting. It's great. Anyway, I am working obviously down in the smallest bedroom on the first floor. If you missed the former videos in this room, this used to be the first floor bathroom, but we're moving the bathroom to the other end of the house for plumbing reasons, and this is becoming a small bedroom. And my plan in here for today is that I'm going to work on the trim. So we've got the baseboards around the corners of the room, and I would like to get those kind of sanded and painted. And then I might also have a look at the floor in here because we've got the original wood floor, but we're not sure if we're going to be able to actually use it in this room. I'll show you. I'll tilt the camera down. Look at the sunshine. It's amazing. There we go. All right. I'm a little on an angle, but you can see. So this floor here is the original wood floor. However, it's gone a bit uneven and there's some spaces between the boards. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is give it a good vacuum because obviously it's gone quite dusty with the work. And then sand it all down and just see how it feels once it's sanded, because I would love to be able to keep this floor in here if possible. And I'm thinking that I can live with the small spaces between the boards or possibly find some way to fill them if it feels nice to walk on once it's sanded. If it feels rough, then it's probably not worth it. So let's sand and test it out. But first I'm gonna do some work on the baseboards. And there's a little problem with the baseboards that I will show you right now. Okay, so here's the slight baseboard issue. Right here and here, and there's about 10 other of these little guys sticking out. And what these are is because this used to be a bathroom, these were the mounts that held up the supports for some pipes that were going around here. So it used to be, you know, a little pipe holding thing like that. And I tried to remove one last night, and the baseboard just seemed like it got really loose in the place where I removed it. So I'm a little worried that these are what's holding the baseboard onto the wall. However, they have to go. So I guess I'm going to remove them. The other question is how to remove them because they're not screws. I can't unscrew them with a screwdriver. But as usual, Laurent came to the rescue with a great idea, which was to use the drill, but with no bit in the drill. So, you know, there's the thing where you can close up the drill to hold on to the drill bit. And his pro tip from the bricolage master, bricolage is like doing DIY in French, was to just latch the drill directly onto them and see if they unscrew that way. So I'm going to try that because that seems like it would be really easy and fast if it works good. Okay, here we go. So first I'm gonna open up. Let's open. There we go. And now let's do this one first. Latch on. Oh, okay. It seems to be latched. Let's unscrew. Oh, good job, Laurent. That worked perfectly. Okay, so now I've just got to do that about 20 more times. I think before I vacuum, I'm going to need to remove this little wood border that is between the baseboard and the floor. because I do like it. And to be honest, if it went all the way around the room, I would keep it and paint it and have it be part of the baseboards. But if we swing over here, it does not. About half the room is missing the little wood extra bit. And the walls in here are so curved, I think it would be kind of a nightmare to try to add it back in. So I'm just going to take it out. I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to, now that I've sanded the floor, I think as well as I can do with the big sander, I'm going to walk across it in sock feet and see how uneven it feels. So that'll be my test to determine if this floor is acceptable to keep. So, take off my shoes. Let's adjust so you guys can see. And it's feeling good. So obviously it's an old wood floor, and I think this part of the house has shifted quite a lot because it's a little uneven. It's a little bit, some of the boards are like a little bit different levels, but to be honest, it feels quite good to walk on. I don't notice that I feel like I'm gonna trip or even catch my socks. So I think that for me it's acceptable. We'll see what Laurent says when he tries it. But I think for me, I kind of actually like the unevenness of it because it makes you really feel the age of the room. So for me, I think that just varnishing this floor as is fine and enough to make it into a nice and beautiful wood floor. And then also we save a little bit of money. It's not a huge amount of money to put parquet faux wood floor, which is what we would do, over this one, but it does save us a little bit of money. So I think for me it's good. So with that question answered, I'm gonna take a minute and start sanding the putty that I used to fill the holes where those screws were. Oh guys, I'm such a dum-dum. So I had to run into town to run a few errands and to pick up the paint for the trim at the hardware store. And while I was there, I was going to buy some very small decorative trim to put on top of the baseboard here. So basically be like baseboard, small piece of decorative trim, wall. For a couple of reasons I want to do that. I want to first off kind of hide the little crack that's between the baseboard and the wall, just because it's a little wider than I want it to be. And then also to really give the room kind of a finished and more visually interesting look. So I was going to pick up the trim boards to do that, and I did not. I just didn't even think about it. And now it's too late. The hardware store is closed. So I think instead what I'm going to do is tape the floor around the baseboards so I can go ahead and whack a coat of primer onto the baseboards. And actually, to be honest, it probably works out equally well because I prefer to paint the trim boards before I put them in place anyway. It's just easier. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and primer up the baseboard, and then I can paint a final coat on it tomorrow before I go back to the hardware store to get some trim. Ah! I feel like a vampire. The sun. It's amazing though. It's so sunny and beautiful today. I'm obsessed. It's November. It is mid-November. And good grief, it is beautiful outside. Anyway, I'm awake. I am back at it, and I'm gonna start today with sanding the putty that I put on the door last night, and then putting some primer on the door, and then putting a color coat on the baseboards. So yeah, that's my plan. Okay, I'm a little worried because this gray is really not nearly as dark as what I wanted. Maybe I'm just like colorblind and I never knew. But I swear, like whenever I go to pick out paint colors at the paint store, at the hardware store, it just seems like they never ever come home and end up being the color that they look like on the swatch. So I don't want to have to spend an extra €5 on a tester every time I buy paint, even for a job as small as this. But at the same time, like I spent €22 on this paint, but it's really not the color that it looked like. So I don't really know what the situation is missing here or what I can do to rectify it. But like, I don't know. This is way too light. I'm gonna let it dry because I was hoping for a gray that is roughly 1 to 2 shades lighter than the gray that was here before. Like, to be honest, I quite liked the color that was here before. It just had to be repainted because there were just a lot of places where it was scuffed and scratched and faded and damaged. But I quite liked the color that was here before. So I don't know. I guess I'm gonna let it dry and then see what color it turns into once it dries. But I feel like I'm about to go and buy more paint, which kind of sucks. But the good news is that this color I do think is the best color for the door, because I don't want the door to be a dark color. I think it's too much dark space in the middle of a light wall if the door is a dark color. So I am going to paint the door this color and see how I like that. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm gonna do a little experiment. I had to rummage around through the cabinets upstairs and I found a few old bottles of floor stain, wood stain, that we just had tucked away from doing other rooms. These two are the same color, that's kind of a medium wood color. This one is a little bit lighter, but I'm gonna do a test patch of each color in here and just see if one of them will work, because that would save me having to go and buy a new color. It would save a little bit of money, it'd be a little bit less wasteful. So yeah, hopefully one will work. And I'm gonna do my patch underneath where the bed will be in this room. So if I hate it, I never have to look at it. Okay, we're gonna do it next to this hole that's left over from the former plumbing. So at least all the floor imperfections will be together. So I've got my little jar. Let's try this one first. Actually, no, let's try this one first because I have 2 containers of that. So if that one's a good color, it will definitely be enough to do the whole room. Ooh, it's hard to open. I am a little worried it's going to be too dark though. Got my little mini brush. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be too dark. Yeah, that looks pretty dark. Let's try instead, just wipe off my mini brush, my little paintbrush. Let's try instead the lighter one. This looks like it's at least a few shades lighter, which would be better. Okay. You know what? We're gonna stick the mini brush right in there, just because things are easier that way. Okay. Okay, I don't hate that. That's a medium. It's a little darker than I was kind of thinking of, but let's let it dry. Maybe it'll lighten up. I've given my swatches some time to dry. Definitely the darker one is too dark. The lighter one might be too red. So I think what I'm gonna do is pick up a more neutral, less red, medium wood color at the hardware store. And if we don't use it in here, we'll use it somewhere. Like, it's not a waste, but then I can do a swatch of that too and then choose between them. So I think that's a good plan. Good morning. It is a beautiful, bright, sunny morning. And I'm just gonna do a few more little touch-ups and details in this room. I think the first one I'm gonna do is putting this very convenient coat hook back on the door and putting the door back in place. And then I'm gonna add the trim, the final touch trim around the tops of the baseboards. I painted it last night in the dark, so hopefully the paint job looks okay because I could not see what I was doing at all. So yeah, I think that's the last little couple of touches we're gonna do in here for the time being. But I'm really excited to see how it looks because I think it's gonna look really nice. I just want to say also that I was having a lot of doubts about this color of gray because I did like the old gray, the darker gray, but now that I'm seeing this, I've seen it in the sunlight and I've lived with it for a second. I actually do really love this gray. And my friend Georgie, I sent her a message to see what her opinion was, because she's very good with coordinating neutrals in her home. And her thought was that the darker gray and then a lighter gray door might be like too much going on. And when she said that, I was like, oh, actually, you are right. I think it would be too much going on to have a lighter gray door and a darker gray trim. And I think it would be too much dark in the middle of a light wall to have a dark gray door. So I think I am going to keep this gray. I've painted all the rest of the trim this color. And I think I really like it, actually. It's really grown on me. So I think I'm quite happy with that. All right, let's get this bad boy back on the hinges. I will just warn you guys that this is the corner of the room where we ran out of wallpaper. So this side is gonna look like a disaster. Sorry about it, my apologies. But I am gonna run to the shop that has the wallpaper today. This is not from our local hardware store. It's from a shop that's about half an hour away. And I just haven't had the time to go and pick up that extra one roll that we need, but I am going to do that. So please ignore the disaster zone of that corner. Anyway, let's try to see if I can get this back on the hinges in one go. It is not my forte, but I'm going to do my best. Oh, she's heavy. I shouldn't have taken off my glasses. Because I can't see if I'm close to the... Oh! Ha-ha! Yes! I have skills! Oh, yeah. That looks beautiful. I'm so happy with it. And I love how the silver coat hook looks with this color gray. Love it. Very happy. For my next trick, I'm going to be gluing this trim on top of the baseboards. I've pulled out my, another thing I don't know the name of in English. My boîte à ongles, angle cutting box. I never used one of these when I lived in an English speaking country, so I have no idea. But the first thing I'm going to do is take this trim, which is going to go like that on the top of the baseboards. It's just going to cover up that seam between the wallpaper and the baseboard, so it looks a little nicer. And it adds like a little architectural interest, which is kind of nice too. But I want to have like an actual nice corner in the corner. So what I'm going to do is cut off this little edge here, the little end. So instead of being flat like this, that it's actually at an angle like that. And then that will mean it can meet the angle of the next piece. And we're gonna have a beautiful corner, I hope. There's a small guest on one of my pieces of trim. Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna need to use that piece, I'm sorry. Go on. Go on. Fly. Ah, it was almost flying. Well, as usual, the walls not being even remotely straight has foiled my master plan. This corner isn't even a corner, it's just round. Like, there's just no way I could put trim evenly in there. But what I will do is after this glue dries and it's all set up, I'll get some putty and I'll just shape my own little corner piece in there, which will be fine. Anyway, apart from that, it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna continue on and do the rest of the trim. Guys, my entire body is covered in glue. But I've got all the trim in place, so now all I have left to do is peel up the tape and see the finished new baseboards in this room. I'm so excited. Ta-da! That looks so much better. It's incredible how, this is basically a small detail, these baseboards, but they make the room look so much more finished. And I am obsessed with how the trim on top of them came out. It totally changes the look of the whole room. This was such a bigger project than I thought it was going to be. To be honest, I really thought this was like going to be just slap some paint on some baseboards and sand the floor and, a couple hours and out. And it became many more steps than I thought it would be, but I am so happy with the finished product. And next up, we're going to add color onto the floor, and that is going to be so transformative. I cannot wait to see what this room looks like with color. I can envision it in my mind, and it is so exciting. I am kind of leaning towards this more reddish swatch. I don't know, I need to live with it. I need to let it sit and soak in my mind for a while, as I do with many design choices around here. So in the meantime, we're gonna call it quits for this video. And I will just quickly, before I go, say a big thank you to our patrons. Thank you patrons. You guys are the best. You support all of this, all these things that are happening, both financially and emotionally. And it's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to become a patron and get all the extra patron content and a big thank you at the end of every video and my eternal heartfelt appreciation, then please do check out the link below this video. Also, while you're down there, please do subscribe to the channel or check that you are still subscribed, because as we know, YouTube likes to just unsubscribe people randomly. So if you want to keep seeing videos, keep seeing the progress here, as well as YouTube recommending other channels like this one, more content like this, make sure you're subscribed and like this video. And I think that's about it. I am bushed. I'm tired after this. It's been a lot of crawling around the floor. So I'm gonna go take a break, and I will see you guys next time.